Hi, everyone. Welcome to Business Book TV. I'm your host, Henry DeVries. I'm a business journalist. I'm with California Business Journal and Forbes.com and Agency Owner News, and I review business books. And with me today is author Liz Leonard. She wrote the book, Your Franchise Fast Pass. So, Liz, who is this book for?
This book is for people exploring entrepreneurship, and it could be they want to start an independent business. They might want to consider franchising, but it's really a roadmap to help them determine what suits them best and what fits them where they are in the world, in their life, in their family, and their budget, all kinds of things. So anybody considering business ownership should read the book.
It's a big trend today for people who are over 50 to have an encore career, or sometimes they have a disagreement with management. They think they have a job and management thinks they don't, so they need to start something new. So tell me about the trend you're seeing with people that you're working with.
I agree. You are correct on the trend. And many of the candidates that I'm coaching reference it as ageism. And they are replaced by somebody much younger with obviously a lower paid salary. And so it's a very much a disappointment for them. And so they have to take control of their freedom, take control of building their own wealth, and look what alternatives are out there from a W-2 position. And I think entrepreneurship, whether it's with a franchise or starting a business or buying an existing business, is a great solution for people. And they just don't know until they start exploring. And we try to delve into a lot of the pieces to make sure that it's a good fit for them, not just from the financial aspect, but obviously the skills. And any W-2 employee has a bunch of skills they can leverage from corporate America. We want to identify what those are. So I always try to make them feel better and know that their little toolbox is full of resources and skills that we can actually take advantage of.
There was something very startling I found when reading the book, and it's a great book for determining where you want to go because it's a big, wide franchise world. But the startling statistic is to work with a matchmaker like you, it costs $0. Could you explain that?
I know it is surprising. We are very much considered high level recruiters trying to help people find the right one in terms of a partnership with the franchise company. And it takes about 8 weeks for us to go through that entire process. It doesn't happen very quickly. So I'm there coaching them through the process. And at the end of the process, when they go through all their due diligence, which again, 6 to 8 weeks, very thorough process that we help them kind of go through, I'm paid a finder's fee by the company. And so there's nothing owed to me by the candidates that I'm coaching. I need their time. I need their time, their brains, and their energy and their future vision. That's all I need them to bring to the table. And we can see what's possible.
I've talked to a lot of people and they go, oh, franchise, I don't want to run a McDonald's or a Subway sandwich shop. But that's just a tiny fraction of the franchises that are out there. Could you talk about what some of the options might be for people?
You're right. It is a big ocean of franchises. People don't know where to start, but there is a lot of, I think, just I call it head trash, if you will, but just assumptions based that food, fitness, hair care, we go down that lane. I can't afford it. But there's also another whole side of franchising called home service brands. And those are anything to do with a piece of real estate, whether it's commercial or your home, anything you need installed, repaired, or maintained, there's a franchise out there for. And they're mobile. You see these vehicles on the road. My husband and I own one. We have a kitchen remodeling franchise, which is how I became a coach, which might be another conversation for us to have. But we didn't know that those were possible. We had owned a brick and mortar childcare center. We had had a brick and mortar self-storage business. And we thought, what better way to kind of diversify our portfolio with a home service brand that would have a lower investment, lower overhead, and stronger margins. And it's a brilliant idea. And there's hundreds of them.
I've heard that if you start your own business, it's a rocky road and you've been through it and I've been through it. And can you make it to 3 years? Can you make it to 5 years? Can you make it to 10 years? If you go the franchise route, you have, I've heard like an over 75% chance of success. Could you speak to that?
Yeah, that's a tough question. I get this question frequently from people, am I going to succeed? And my first response is we need to put something called the U factor in that solution-based answer. And what are you going to do to make your business successful? How are you going to leverage the franchise systems? How are you going to leverage your business coach within the franchise system? Are you going to follow what they tell you to do? Or are you going to ask for more training when you need it? And then the other piece too is you're in a whole entire, US based franchise family of owners. And so you can pick up the phone and get your question answered pretty quickly. Where you and I started businesses from scratch before coming into franchising for me. And I was on an island. I had to make decisions. And you always wonder, am I making the right decision? When you can actually have a peer group to run things by, they might have already either found the solution, they might have made the mistake, they might divert you in a different way, provide you with another solution. So it's just great to have a whole group of people. And I think the easiest thing to think about is you're in business for yourself, but you're not by yourself.
As the comedian Lily Tomlin said, we're all in this alone. But that's not true in the franchise world. If you watch the show, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, and they have the lifelines, the best lifeline is to poll the studio audience, get the wisdom of the team. So I think that's so exciting about starting a franchise. Here's another aspect that you could speak to. Someone came to me. She was a woman who's a driver, a charger, but the corporation had moved in this different direction. So she got her walking papers at 55 and she wanted to get my help to land a new job. And I said, I can do that. However, let's say you spend 10 years doing that and you build everything up. You can't sell that job to anybody. Let's talk about you own a franchise and also in retirement, you might sell that franchise. How would that work?
Yeah, it's a great chapter. And it was one of the last chapters in my book that I included. And I've had a lot of people really pleased that it's in there. And I think we don't think with the end in mind, and we need to think about that. So when you get into business ownership, yes, you're building a customer base. Yes, you're building revenue, but you're also building this thing called cash flow that other people are looking to acquire, because there are these people out there, high level investors, that don't want to do the heavy lifting. They don't want to hire the staff. They don't want to go through finding the site location with the franchisor. They just actually want to show up and have everything running. So if they can buy an existing business that has cash flow and people, and that other owner might be ready to retire, it's a beautiful thing. But it's all packaged up for you. So in a startup, just to look at the other side, if you were to do it yourself, you would need to make sure that your own personal business was set up for exit strategy, which is a whole different conversation. Where the franchisor, everything is systematized, everything is ready to go. They'll train the new owner. You do pay a transfer fee to sell, but it's an amazing thing. And I think one of the other misconceptions that people have is that they don't realize that this investment money, they'll likely earn it at the end. And people are all about, let's earn it in the first year or year 2 or year 3. Yes, that's the cash flow piece, but you need to decide what you're going to take out, what you're going to pay yourself. But then is your ultimate goal to sell it? Because if it is, that's a beautiful thing.
The author Michael Gerber, who wrote the E-Myth, said every business owner, their ultimate goal should be to sell that business one day. The only reason to start a business is to think about selling it. So we're all excited about the marriage and the start, but we need to think about things will change and there needs to be a transition. Within my own business, Indie Books International, we handed out about 200 1099s last year between our authors and our staff. And that's a responsibility that we take seriously, that they're depending on us and we need continuity plans, we need exit plans, we need opportunities for them in the future too. So thank you so much. Any last item to add before we close it out?
No, I think if there's anybody out there just that's been thinking about, is a franchise right for me? Dip your toe in the water. There's nothing getting in the way of learning and exploring. And if it's fear-based, we can replace the fear with the facts. So why not take a look?
Hold up that book for us before we go. So if anybody wants to get your franchise fast pass, and you can reach Liz Leonard. If you Google her, she's easy to find. So that's it for today's episode of Business Book TV. And until next time, read on.